welcome guys, and thanks for joining us on this timely episode today. I'm here with my co-host Ryan Gorman, and I got two great guys with me, the guys from the Market Rebellion. I got CJ and Monty, and we're here to talk about, mainly start off with the markets, what's happening. Bitcoin's printing money, also seems to be uncorrelating from the equity markets, but I want to get their insights or the pros and discuss that a little, because it seems to be, I think we're at an all-time high since for the year. Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Yeah, not so bad. So definitely, CJ, Monty, thank you very much for being with us. What are you guys seeing over there at Market Rebellion? What's going on with the markets? Give us some of your insight. I know you guys have probably been a little busy the last 24, 48 hours with this, and probably all your friends calling you to ask you if they should invest in Bitcoin now as well.
Yeah, well, thanks so much for having us, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here. And yeah, it's been a wild couple of days. And I mean, the timing has been great because, as you know, we've been working on a crypto trading platform for the last 3 months, and price action has been pretty lackluster. So it hasn't exactly been easy to garner excitement around the office for Bitcoin, especially when we got a bunch of traditional financial asset guys. But now that the price is spiking, all of a sudden everyone's blowing up our phones, and yeah, we're all the most popular guys in the office all of a sudden. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, first of all, volatility always brings execution, right? More of it. So I think probably the deal between Market Rebellion and Voyager for the crypto app came at a good time. Anybody want to dive into the price action sentiment, whether it's from technical perspective or an event-driven perspective? Any leads on that?
I'll take the technical perspective, just very briefly, if that's cool. Alex,
Go for it.
thanks for having us once again. It's a pleasure to be on with Monty and Ryan and yourself. But like the one thing that's very important is just like sequential. That's our system primarily. And these are the periods of time where I feel that it's somewhat difficult to be disciplined because you have such elated mania going on, and you know everything's telling you that price is oversold or overbought, excuse me, but price just keeps going up. And you know we are on a green sell 9, which is an indication to at least take profit, or a very large warning signal for Bitcoin. And not only are we on it on Bitcoin on the daily time frame, but we're also hitting it on Voyager, on Ethereum, Zcash, Monero. I won't turn this into a Tone Vase TA show, but I think you get the point that I'm making. So I can't really feel ultra bullish looking at those. I still am bullish fundamentally. I think this is a very significant kind of upswing. We'll see if it can be sustainable. But like Monty said, you know, we're popular in the office, and like I had a kid I hadn't talked to in 14 months just texts me randomly, says, "Hey, what do you think of Litecoin?" I don't know. Solid coin, I guess. I don't know.
That's great. So in other words, the technicals are kind of showing you that people are going to take profit. We're going to get a little bit of a correction here. Any thoughts on like what kind of correction? Is it going to stabilize? Do we have a bar that we're going to hit and stop?
Well, you know what's interesting is I actually saw an on-chain analysis that exchange withdrawals were at an all-time high, and like something like 40% of accounts were taking profits on major exchanges. So that's a large amount of profit taking that's already happened, and we haven't really seen too much of a reversal. I mean, there was some volatility last night. We saw it dip back down into like the 10.5K range, which I think was exactly that, a lot of people taking profit. But I do think that now that we're above 10K, I think 10K is still a great buy. So I think a lot of people are still placing buy orders around that price and trying to catch any dips that are coming in the near future. So I think 10K is going to set up for a nice new bottom for a while.
I think from a sentiment standpoint, 10K does matter, but and there also have been quite a few positive developments recently, including the OCC announcement. I mean, how much legs do you think this rally realistically has, especially when platforms like Ethereum, with the growing DeFi community, in the eyes of some, have much better fundamentals for an upside?
Yeah, to Ryan's point, is there a little pump going on from not only a regulatory perspective or from that news cycle, but as well as the DeFi mania that's going on?
Oh yeah, I definitely think that's part of it for sure. And also, I mean, coins like Ethereum and even Cardano, they're really kind of reaching this point in their plan where they're developing. Even Ethereum 2.0 is coming along nicely, and Cardano's Shelley project is starting to really come to fruition. So I think there are some fundamentals at play beyond just regulatory things with the OCC that are kind of driving the market upwards as well.
Interesting. So a lot of altcoins up until recently were, kind of outperforming Bitcoin. Chainlink, Ethereum, and a number of others. Chainlink basically was printing money for a while. Do you see that continuing to go on an upswing, or do you think its recent downswing is more indicative of a long-term pattern there?
It's come a very long way. I mean, the market cap that it's put in the last year alone is very significant.
Mm-hmm.
It's rose through the ranks. I think it's got like a $4.3 billion valuation now, but it was selling off hard yesterday. I think it was down about 15%, while Bitcoin was rallying up 7 or 8%. So if I'm holding an altcoin and Bitcoin's rallying and my altcoin's not rallying, like that makes me feel very uneasy, because what it means is that more overall new capital is not necessarily coming into the space and pumping my altcoin. It's just coming from Bitcoin and going into the altcoins and then going back into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So in order for me to be truly confident about altcoins, like I want to see a bunch of money coming into the space, because the institutional interest, the people like Paul Tudor Jones and people who have kind of looked at Bitcoin as a hedge, they don't seem to be interested in altcoins the way speculators do.
Well, I'm gonna touch on one particular altcoin that is close to both your hearts in a minute. But when it comes to correlation, looking at the charts over the last 48 hours, there's an interesting trend going on. Equities are in a downward motion, and Bitcoin's in an upward motion. Does this mean anything significant?
Yeah, it's really tough to say, and we've been speculating about that. Ryan was pointing us to that really interesting CoinDesk article you wrote about the OCC and kind of how, I mean, you had a really interesting take on that and how the banks kind of work pragmatically, and it's going to take a while before any of that is actually relevant. But also, like, I think that what CJ was talking about and Paul Tudor Jones and these institutional investors finally taking interest in the whole crypto market in general. I think I agree with you guys completely that the banks are going to take forever to actually custody any crypto. But I think the sentiment itself that like this is finally happening, and that from a regulatory standpoint it is possible, I think is big news, and it's kind of garnered a lot of confidence in the market in general.
So does that set this rally apart from the previous run-up when Bitcoin hit its all-time high? Do you think we're set up to go past that anytime soon?
Yeah, I actually think it's really different. I think it's really different. Like that was, I mean, a lot of what drives crypto is like the fear of missing out. People talk about FOMO all the time. And I think in 2017, a lot of that was just kind of word of mouth, and Coinbase was at an all-time high and people were trading on Coinbase. I mean, even all my friends that even now don't have any interest in crypto, even after this boom, we're trading on Coinbase. So yeah, I think this is really different. I think this is a really more sustained bullish movement, because yeah, I think this is a more steady inflow of capital than just like these FOMO traders on Coinbase.
So it's less scale driven and more institutional then, yes?
Yeah.
And do you think the post-halving cycle is going to continue with this bullish upswing? I mean, if you look at all the other halvings, You look at where the halving happened from a price standpoint. You look at where the price went to. There's that certain cycle of upward momentum. Do you think this is going to continue to be positive through the remainder of the calendar year?
Can I show a model of that real quick? Because it's
Show anything you
relevant
want
to
to
your
see,
point.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know CJ's a big believer in the stock to flow model. And
It's not stock to flow. It's not stock to flow.
oh, okay.
The last time we had CJ on, he pulled out some charts, and it was cool. I like the way he goes through his presentation.
Just give me a second here.
No worries. In the meantime, we'll comment on Monty's background. He has the whole backdrop going, the shirt going. I love it. It's like Studio A.
All right, so what we're looking at here is the Bitcoin difficulty ribbon created by one of our favorite guys, Willy Woo, analyst in the space. And what these symbolize is Bitcoin's difficulty in moving averages, and they're just kind of overlaid so that when the difficulty decreases, you can see these periods of compression throughout these halving cycles. And so what that means is that when the difficulty lowers and when we reach these periods of compression, miners are pretty much completely capitulated, and every miner who's going to sell has likely already done so. And since miners have been the predominant sellers of Bitcoin throughout our cycles, it's had this pattern where, you know, every time one of these compression periods have happened, it would have been a good accumulation phase for Bitcoin. So obviously we have that, you know, 2012 and 2013 here, same before and slightly after the halving in 2016. And if I zoom in this area, kind of reaching our current point, we're in that same type of compression phase, despite the fact that we went up like, you know, 10% yesterday. So while we may be overbought in the short term, like these compression phases, and as you can see, what we went through in like right after our crash here, these would have been very nice accumulation phases. And so that speaks a lot to the macro cycle, in my opinion, especially post-halving. And, you know, we'll see if, you know, the stock to flow model accommodates these types of statistics and we do reach, you know, 30 to 50K by 2022 or 2023.
Interesting. There was that miner sell-off overnight. Do you think that miners had any part of that, or was that mostly just retail profit taking? Given the timing, I mean, it would have been, it was overnight here in America. And most of the miners are based in China and Asia. I mean, it seems like that could be possibly linked.
I couldn't say for sure, but it seems like it's coming from Asia.
So let's get to VGX. You guys, Voyager Market Rebellion, doing a deal. VGX token is one of those very bullish. How do I say it? As Steve Ehrlich is tweeting about it every 5 minutes with a chart. You know, we're leading the way again today. I mean, does that just motivate you guys from a standpoint of your partnership and the belief? Because a lot of these tokens, when it comes to you know, native ties with a platform like Voyager, it's very community driven. You know, it's the community that believes in them. It's driving those price movements. So do you guys feel positive about that? Do you feel that there's the traction in flow here with with Voyager and with Market Rebellion's app?
Yeah, I think you really hit it right on the head there, Alex. Like, especially Voyager token, it seems like there's a really strong connection between the token itself and the sentiment about the company. So, I mean, obviously we partner with them for a reason. We really believe in Voyager and Steve's vision. And yeah, I think it's been really spectacular to see just the way they've grown in the past few months, and also just to be kind of privy to what they have planned. And I mean, they're planning on building a desktop platform and all this stuff. And yeah, I've met a bunch of Voyager diehard fans while we've been working on this. And yeah, it's really cool to see how they've been growing and how the token, the price of the token has kind of reflected their growth over the last few months. It's cool.
And one thing I'll say about VGX is that it took a very long time to get over 6 cents. It spent the entire bear market kind of pushing resistance at 6 cents. And, you know, last week it just totally exploded past that and went all the way to 22 cents. I think
Any given reason for that? I mean, was it following a stock movement? What do you think was the cause?
I mean, judging by their Voyager Ltd stock on the Canadian Stock Exchange, it's fairly correlated, but I think there's more upside in the token just because it's more volatile. But like this recent price action, I think it's a cause of possibly, you know, John and Pete. There's a lot of press in the fact that they invested in Voyager. You know, you had John and me and Steve on the show, and we discussed all of that. And, you know, I think this recent breakout, it's because of the utility of Voyager. Obviously, the market kind of snowballs it and mania takes over. But when you think about the use case of the Voyager brokerage, like if you sell a Bitcoin for like 9,500 on Coinbase, you're only getting like 9,150 back. They're taking a massive fee and a large portion of the bid-ask spread. Voyager, you have zero commission. So the price that you see on the exchange is the price that you pay or that you get if you want to cash out. Plus, you're getting 3% interest in either Voyager token or Bitcoin. So if that goes up 20%, like you're compounding your earnings there. And so there's incredible upside to that relative to Coinbase and a lot of these other exchanges. And I think people who are using Voyager for the first time are waking up to that. You know, does that mean we won't see a correction? No, of course not. But I think people are waking up to the so-called vision.
Very cool. And compound seems to be a really exciting word around you guys. I mean, there's a new podcast I heard with that word in it. Do you believe it's important for the exchanges to allow interest-bearing facilities on there for users? Has that become a real sticky point for them?
Yeah, I mean, I'll tell you just as a crypto user, now that Voyager has it, why would I use any other exchange that doesn't? I mean, Voyager is a brokerage. Like crypto exchanges, we have this kind of mentality that they're exploitive. You know, you lose your cryptocurrency if you keep, you know, it on there. And Voyager, you know, they are a broker. A broker is somebody who is supposed to be your advocate in the market to provide quality education and resources as well, which is kind of where we come in as Market Rebellion. But those are the...
Very cool. All right, guys. Thanks for hopping on. Awesome time as usual. Had to get you here because of the market movements. I'm going to ask you real quick: has your year-end focus for Bitcoin price being up or down changed? Do you have a certain number or a certain area for December 31st?
I said 15K a while ago, back when it was chilling at 9K. So I'm going to stick with that.
You're sticking with that. All right. That seems more reasonable than like Novogratz at $1 million. What about you, CJ?
You know, for me, it's hard to place a prediction with that time frame, but it's just the most important thing for me is getting above 14K and creating, you know, a higher low. That to me tells us that we have a higher chance of going to those higher levels like 30 and 50K. But yeah, 14K. I'll entertain that number for you.
100K or 100K numbers a lot of people are throwing around. It makes more sense.
What about you, Ryan? What's your December 31st number?
I think 15K is reasonable.
No, you got to do like 15,001 cents. This is like the price of right.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah.
Just to be Tommy Topper over here.
Wait, say that again?
We'll go 15.5.
All right, cool.
And CJ's at 14, so I'm wedged there. But it's not looking good for me.
It's all right, Monty. The prize wasn't a lot for winning anyway. Guys, thank you for joining us. Everybody watching, these CJ and Monty are with Market Rebellion. The Nigerian brothers, crypto arm of their firm. Check them out at marketrebellion.com/Bitcoin.
Correct.
That's it. All their information will be in the notes, and definitely head on over. Smart guys. Guys, thank you very much, and look forward to speaking with you soon. Hopefully, the market stays exciting.
Yeah, that's what we're all hoping.
Thanks so much for having us, guys.
Absolutely, guys. Thank you.
Thank you so much.